I sold the first mount that I farmed for 5 million gold, and I've seen screenshots of other players selling these for 6 to 7 million gold each. So prices are definitely starting to come down now, but the mounts and pets that we get from this farm are still insanely valuable. From memory, this is probably the gold farm that has the highest payouts that I have ever seen in World of Warcraft before. I've seen higher numbers, but I've never seen stuff that's actually sold for those numbers. This is consistently selling for millions of gold, even if those numbers are coming down a bit because it is getting farmed. Now, I've seen other creators talking about this before patch 11.1 released, but I wanted to see how things panned out. More importantly, I want to see how much gold these things actually sold for when sort of everything settled down a little bit. Now, it's obvious what we're farming today sells for sort of millions of gold. So all we really need to know is what we are farming, and more importantly, how are we farming it. So we are farming Miscellus Mechana, and we can trade 25 of these for Skedrid Signature Bands, and we then can pick one of the 3 mounts, and that we can chuck on the auction house, and that's what's going to make us the millions of gold. So basically, there are 3 ways that we can get these items that we can trade for the mounts, and therefore make the gold from. So that's basically what the farm is all about. The number one way that you get these is from killing rares, and you're going to kill lots of rares. So most of the rares seem to have a drop chance of one of these between sort of like 1.5 to 5%. So most of the rares are on a daily lockout per character, not per account. And then you have some rares that are on a weekly lockout, and that's sort of once per character per week. So you can tell the difference because the weekly ones are the ones that show up on the world map, and you can see them as like an elite icon, and you may struggle to solo those. But the good thing about those is that most of them have sort of like a 4 to 5% drop rate, and the daily ones are sort of like a 1.5 to 3% drop rate. So you're getting much better from the weeklies, but obviously you can only do them once a week. The dailies is probably where you're going to get your overall most from. Obviously, it's just a lot more rare kills per mechana. Now, the main way that people have been farming these probably is just by zerging through endless rares in the zone on as many 80s as they can to just get as many to drop as they can. This is one way for sure of just brute force farming these and getting the gold from them that way. Now, another approach is that Renown 13 with Cartels of Undermined, you unlock the ability to do dumpster diving. So basically all this is it's just basically extra treasures around the zone that you can pick, and these have about a 1% chance to drop mechanical mechana. Now, you think about that, you do a couple of dumpsters and that's giving you the same chance of getting a rare. So it really can sort of add up on the percentage if you are sort of farming these and running around and grabbing quite a lot of these. The problem is that you can run out of these to farm, but we'll get to that in a minute. The third way to get to these are from Paragon boxes. Now, most of the reputation in the zone is fairly time gated, but you can potentially farm infinite rep in 2 ways. So firstly, by farming checklists, you can basically infinitely form cartel reputation, as in the cartel that you pick for the week. Because when you get a completed checklist, you take it back to them, and they will give you 500 rep for that. Now, you can then pick up the uncommon checklist card things, and when you get enough of those, then you can then get another checklist to redo that. Now, this is extremely time consuming. It's probably not worth it because the amount of effort you're going to take to get a Paragon box is just going to be so ridiculously time consuming that it's not really worth it. Now, probably the better way to get Paragon boxes is through Darkview's reputation, which you get by getting market research. This is probably a much faster method of getting Paragon boxes. But even then, even when you're doing this in a really good group, like getting the reputation is still taking quite a long time. And the biggest issue here for me with farming the mechana like this is that it's not even a guaranteed drop in a Paragon cache. I think it's about a 50% chance of getting one in a Paragon cache. For all that effort you are putting in, you are probably better off just putting your time into rares and dumpsters to really farm these out. Now, all of these methods have their issues, but if you came to me and said, how are you going to farm these as a solo player on one account? What I would do is I would do the zone on as many characters as I could, but I would do things slightly differently. So what I would do is at the beginning of the week, I would not kill the world boss. I would save it till the end of the week, because what that does is it keeps the find group option for the world boss available to you. And it's a very quick and easy way to be able to join other groups. They tend to have auto invite on, and this means that you can use the world boss group finder, and you can use this to phase very easily. And therefore, you can use it to find rares easily, but more importantly, you can use it to respawn into other phases to refarm the dumpsters and get more that way. So having this sort of quest up that a lot of people are doing all the time, it's sort of like the Zek groups in Siren Isles, where you can constantly use it to phase yourself. And because of that, you can use it to farm much more efficiently if you are having to do this on a single account. To me, if you are doing this as a solo player on a solo account, this is probably the best way to farm these. But it is still a brutal grind. These are ridiculously valuable, but at the same time, it is a hard grind. So what I would probably suggest to people is, say you try this and you get a bit of the way, but you just get burnt out. There are still battle pets you can buy for between 5 and 10 Nisculus Mechana, and these are still selling for a lot of gold. You're still going to make a lot of gold from buying these and selling these on the auction house. So even if you only get a bit of the way through the grind, you don't get them out, but at least you can cash in and make something from all that effort that you have put in. Now, anyone that has caught me live on Twitch recently, and there's a link to my Twitch in the description below if you are feeling generous and want to throw me a follow, they will have seen me that I do sort of like a crazy farm on this with multiple accounts. I'm not going to talk about too much here because the vast majority of people who are watching this can't do it. But if you do want to see like the crazy method I use for farming these, then feel free to catch me live. So have you guys been farming these? How many drops have you had? And what sales have you made if you've bought anything with them to buy? I've had some absolutely crazy stories from people who have been doing this farm and making like some absolutely crazy amounts from this. It is probably one of the most unique gold farms I've ever seen in this game. And I'm really enjoying it, which is why I've spent all the time just to set up this specialized farm that I have put together. Thank you to my Patreon supporters who allow me to make all these videos. And thank you to all you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.